Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Wonder Mother podcast. I'm here with my really close friend, Meaghan Weymouth. Meaghan is one of the strongest people that I know. She's a registered nurse. She specializes in palliative care. She's a mother to 3 amazing kids who I love, and she's been a friend of mine since high school. Over the past few years, she has been mothering, working, and caring for her husband, Andrew, who was diagnosed with leukemia in December of 2021. We're going to talk today about Meaghan and Andrew's story from falling in love to where they're at today. And we're going to find out how she's able to go through this period of her life with so much strength because she's very, very strong. So thank you, Meaghan, for being here. I feel like your story is unique and that it has been going on for a while, and it helps to have the full background of what you've been dealing with in your life and your relationships and stuff. So I just want to I want to start out with hearing about you and hearing about your husband and your kids, and just talk a little bit about yourself.
So I'm 41. I've got 3 kids, 15, a boy Hunter, 11, Jackson with an X, and a 9-year-old Charlotte. So I've been with my husband since I was 15, so more than half my life. And so we've been together going on 26 years almost, and married for 16.
Wow.
I've been a nurse for 19 years. And I've been in home care for 15 of them, specializing in palliative care and hospice at times. And I love it.
Yeah, I know you're really passionate about your work. When did you and Drew get together? And when did you guys decide to have kids, and kind of take us through that story, that part of your story?
So we were freshmen on the basketball team our freshman year of high school, and we both kind of liked one another. He liked another girl for a little bit, and so there was a winter wonderland dance kind of around this time, and I knew he liked her, so I had her dance with somebody who she liked so that he could dance with me. And then I asked him to dance. So then New Year's, being freshmen and naive and whatever, our friend Melanie called him on the phone and said, "Do you like Meaghan Petiti?" And he said, "Yes." And she said, "Do you want to date her?" And he said, "Yes." And so 1/1/99 is when we started dating.
That's
And
right.
then we had our first kiss in your basement.
I see. I'm roped into this. I love that.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I do. It's true. I feel like I've known you for so long, but Drew also has been a part of the equation now for so long. And yeah. Okay, so they fall in love in high school. Love this. So they're high school sweethearts, and then they decide to have kids. And I think that you do have a really unique story with having your kids. So I do want to include it because it's a motherhood podcast, and I feel like people will relate to it. So tell us a bit about when you guys decided to have kids and how you had Hunter and then Jackson and Charlotte.
So we got married June 6, 2008, sorry. And we knew pretty mumuch right away, we had already been together for 10 years. And so why wait? But, so that following winter, I decided to stop birth control. And I actually remember all 3 of my kids, I know the first 2 were, conceived naturally-ish. I'll get into that. And then Charlotte was IVF. And so I know exactly when I got pregnant with Hunter and Jackson. So we went to a friend's 30th birthday party. There had been kind of drinking and stuff happened. And then I knew I was pregnant before even the pregnancy test came back positive, just because I literally at work, I was in the trauma ICU working for Beth Israel, and I literally had room spinning dizziness, and I was like, I have to be pregnant, and immediately went to the bathroom and started vomiting.
Okay.
And it wasn't until 3 days later the test came back positive.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So then Jackson, I knew that Hunter was an awful baby, by the way. He was just He was like the exorcist. He projectile vomited all the time. It was, so the fact that I wanted more was, yeah. So then Jackson, we had done, I've got polycystic ovarian, and because of the
Mm.
pregnancies and migraine meds, it screwed up my metabolism, and I needed fertility treatment. So I went on an oral med, Clomid, which I was a raging lunatic bitch on. And I would be like, take off your pants, let's go. And he was like, oh. um, so it didn't work for us to get pregnant. And literally the doctor was like fat shaming me and like, you need to lose weight.
Ew.
Yeah, thanks,
Oh,
Captain
no.
Obvious. Yeah.
No.
So then in like end of August of 2012, they put me on birth control to like reset everything. And then Andrew found out that he had worked for Whole Foods. He found out that he could go to Iceland, all expenses paid. And
Mm.
so I started the birth control to like get ready for the IVF cycle. And it was right when they had to do his collection. And he was going to be in Iceland. So we knew this, we lined up the dates, everything, and it wasn't going to work that month. So the fertility clinic was like, well, you could freeze his sperm for $3,000 or you could wait a month. And I was like, hard choice. We're going to wait a month. So he came home from Iceland, and I was a psycho doing ovulation strips, whatever. And so it popped up the smiley face. I was like, take your pants off, let's go. He was a little freaked out, but because it became like a chore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then that was that. And then 3 or 4 weeks later, I was driving on Route 20 in Waltham doing my visiting nursing. And I was like, I don't feel good. My boobs hurt. I went to a Walgreens, got a pregnancy test, went to a McDonald's on Route 20 in Weymouth, took the pregnancy test in the McDonald's bathroom, went,
Wow.
put the test on my dash, and then looked at it. And I was like, I'm pregnant. And same thing, Hunter jumped on me like, I don't know, 5 or 6 days earlier, and I got vertigo. And I was like, I'm pregnant. Yeah. But then I felt
Wow.
having a toddler. So then, 10 days after I had Jackson, my mom had a massive heart attack, went into cardiac arrest, needed open heart surgery, was in and out of the hospital the entire summer of 2013. And so I didn't get the newborn phase. And I went to Andrew and I'm like, I want to have another baby. And so we went and knew that, like, we didn't want to do the Clomid again. And
Mhm.
could we just do IVF? And we found Boston IVF. And Jackson turned 1. And then that following December, like we started to meet with the fertility doc, and I was pregnant in February after the first egg put in. And so
Oh
I
my
remember
God.
this like,
Oh, okay. So first one. Boom. I
yeah,
don't know if I remember
yeah,
that detail. Okay, that's amazing.
yeah. So this little skinny, scrawny black kid with an afro. The
Yeah.
doctor turned to him and said, "Go get one of the embryos." And so he picked Charlotte. So I have 2 boys and a
Oh,
girl.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do want to like kind of circle back actually. I want you to talk a little bit more about like you did what is it? Clomid?
Clomid.
Yeah. Talk about like your experience with Clomid versus your experience with IVF just cuz I feel like this is interesting information.
So I was much skinnier. Like I was very skinny in high school and tiny and a size 0 and no boobs and whatever. And then I got put
Mhm.
on, I've had migraines since I was 12.
Mhm.
So I was put on migraine medication since I was 12. And then my freshman year of college at Simmons, the headaches were out of control.
Okay.
So they increased a medication and it screwed with my metabolism. So my parents went from being like, are you anorexic or bulimic and have an
Mhm.
eating disorder to in a month, I gained 60 pounds off of this medication. I lost a lot of hair. Um,
Wow.
I was in brain fog. Like it was
Oh
awful.
God.
So it kicked my polycystic ovarian into like overdrive. So,
Mm.
Hunter, I got pregnant with the natural way,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
but with him, like I gained weight. Like I've never had regular periods. And so
Mhm.
actually, like, once I had him, I like didn't have a period. Like, you don't ovulate on
Oh,
polycystic.
okay.
So, we tried for Jackson for a year and
Okay.
nothing,
Okay.
doing the ovulation tests, everything. So
Mhm.
then we started going to the fertility doctor. They were like, your hormones are way out of whack, blah, blah, blah. You're
Mm.
probably not going to get pregnant on your own. And so that's when we started the Clomid. Um, and you have to, because of insurance, go on certain meds for like a certain amount of time before you can go to the next steps. Um, and luckily, so I did the Clomid, and
Mhm.
doing that birth control for the week must have just like reset everything, and
Mhm.
got pregnant with him after 18 months of trying. Um,
Wow. Wow. Okay.
and then Charlotte, we went back to a different fertility doctor, and they were like, you're not going to get pregnant on your own. Like, so let's see
Okay.
if we can just go and do IVF.
Mhm.
Um, and see if it'll work. And actually, on Andrew's sperm had tested like low motility.
Oh
And
no.
literally that day, they knock you out to like take your eggs, which is super painful after. And they were like, you
Yeah.
can go back to work. I couldn't work.
No, that sounds terrible.
They took 16 eggs, so it's poking your ovary
Oh
16
no.
times. Yeah.
No. No.
So his motility was low for his sperm. So they normally just put the sperm and the egg in a petri dish and let it do its thing.
Mhm.
And they were like, his sperm's not going to be strong enough to break the barrier. Like, we are waiting for insurance approval to inject the sperm into the egg. And so I was in PACU in the post anesthesia care unit, like after being put under to get my eggs, like crying hysterically, like, if you just did this for no reason, and yeah, it's crazy. But
Well,
he was, she
yeah.
is.
I know. So if you could, okay, so if you could, like, do you wish you could have just skipped the Clomid basically and just gone straight to IVF? Or do you feel like you're happy you tried that and then I know you couldn't because of the insurance, but
I mean, definitely like the Clomid, like, yeah, it was not a fun process because, like, literally, sex became a chore, and
right,
like,
right.
there's no intimacy with it and everything. Like, you're just like, okay, we need to do this. And like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not as like fun or sexy or whatever.
no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Or it's really good to hear about someone else's experience, I think, with getting pregnant. And just also just it's interesting to hear how much the insurance plays a part in it too, because I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
know that you have to do like you have to do certain things to get
Yep.
certain treatments.
And it's all like insurance dependent, like,
Hmm.
if I didn't have this certain condition and it wasn't, like, they knew that I wasn't ovulating or whatever, like, then you would have to do IUI, and you have to have like 3 failed IUI attempts,
Wow.
before you can do IVF. Like, there's all sorts of,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, so many like things.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank God, because fucking love Charlotte and Jackson,
Hmm.
so thank God for science. There are other ways. Okay, so you guys have your kids.
Hmm.
Everything is going well. Drew has a fantastic job with Whole Foods. Like, right, he's killing it. You've always been passionate and killing your job. Everything is going pretty normal. So then when how and when did you find out that Andrew had leukemia?
Okay, so I'll the summer of 2021. Okay, so COVID hit. He was a manager of a Whole Foods. I was a manager of a local VNA. So from 5 p.m. Friday night until Monday morning at 8, I was in charge of the whole agency: home health aides, PT, OT, hospice, nursing, everything, like the
Wow.
buildings, all of that. And then he was in charge of an entire Whole
Right.
Foods.
Right.
So we had decided, and we didn't have time off during COVID. Like, we were working
Mhm.
in overdrive with 3 kids, and
Mhm.
so we were always attached to our phones, always. So I that summer, because we always go to New York on vacation, I usually don't go anywhere during the year. And so we went to upstate New York. My father-in-law has a house in the Adirondacks. It's in the middle of nowhere, etc. There's no internet, no Wi-Fi, no, it's just like rudimentary, like back to like board games and hide and seek and Relivio, and it's swimming in the lake and entertaining yourselves by like what we used to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that summer before I went away, I went up to my boss and I was like, look it, like, I need more staff. I need this. I need this. It's unsafe right now and way too crazy and busy. And I literally, she had me in the boardroom and it was on a Friday right before I was about to go away. And I was like, if you don't change things, I'm gonna resign as weekend manager.
Mm-hmm.
And I stood up and started to walk away. And she was like, are you serious right now? And I said, yeah. I cannot continue to work like this. Side note, we had decided to do a major renovation of our house at this time. So work started literally when we were going to New York. Work was starting in our current bedroom to tear out the bathroom, the closet, etc., and make it a one big bathroom to no longer have it be a bedroom. And then in our ranch, we added a mudroom and a 2-car garage and a master above it, laundry room, and a half bath. And then took 10 feet off the back of our house and made a huge kitchen.
Tore the back of the house off. They added an entire like
Oh, yeah.
suite. It was a big reno.
So then, August came, we went away. Um, he had that June had a swollen lymph node on the right side of his head. And so he noticed it. He showed me, we showed our doctor. He has a tube in that side, just recently placed since COVID because he was wearing a mask all the time. And
Mm.
so, because his sinuses weren't draining properly because of wearing the mask, he got chronic ear infections. So they put the Eusocian whatever tube in. And so we were like, oh, well, that makes sense. Like, it's on that side. Like, if it continues, we'll do something about it. So we go to New York. I come home. Things don't change. The house is chaos. We're literally living in our bedroom with a heavy plastic wall working on our bathroom, in the room that we're sleeping in. So he started with like little other signs and symptoms. And so headaches and fatigue and all of that. So mid-October, things hadn't changed at work. It was for both of us, work, the kids, the dogs, us.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Mm-hmm.
was fucked up. Like, that's not how, your life is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to my boss in October of 2021 and I was like, look, I'm done. I'm done as manager. It's not for me. It doesn't feed my soul. I'm done. I will give you 6 months. So this is October. I will give you till March to train for me to help train a new person. And then I'm going back into the field doing patient care and I'll
Mm-hmm.
stay with the company, etc. So I have my conspiracy theories and I don't necessarily like want to get into that.
Mm-hmm.
But he started in October to really have more symptoms. So the fatigue was worse. We went up to New York for Thanksgiving. He was just super moody, super pale. Headaches were
Mm-hmm.
really bad, but you excuse everything away. So I was like, well, your headaches are because your pillow's 10 years old. Our mattress is 15, but like we're going to get a new mattress when the renovation's done. Like, you just
Mm-hmm.
you think everything away. And
Mm-hmm.
so he didn't tell me that he was wicked short of breath. And so December, he had this area of his leg and he showed it to me. I thought it could be potentially a blood clot, but then it went away. So then on a Friday, he's a very hairy dude, has a lot of facial hair. So he would come home from work, go upstairs, take a shower, shave, come down. So now, like each time he had been doing this, he would fall asleep on the couch. Like
Mm-hmm.
38-year-old male, like falling asleep all the time. And so like
Yeah.
normally like he would come home, play with the kids outside, like, etc. And like he would get up, eat, fall asleep, get up, eat, and he was
Mm.
just so moody, so funky. So this Friday night, he went up, took a shower, came down, and I'm cuddling with him on the couch, and he had on the left side of his face an ingrown hair, and the lymph node there ballooned up, and I was like, this is fucked up. And so I was like, look, it's 7 o'clock on a Friday, you can't go anywhere, you need to go to urgent care tomorrow, and you need to get put on antibiotics. So we got put on antibiotics that kind of lulled things for like 10 days. And
Mm.
at Whole Foods, it's batshit crazy during this time, from
Right. This is the
beginning of
holiday
November.
time, right?
Yeah.
Holiday,
He's
yeah.
doing 14, 16, etc. hour days. It's crazy.
Mhm.
I'm still acting manager.
Mhm.
And I have a second job. I teach for Mass College of Pharmacy. I teach clinicals. So I'm doing my two jobs. He's doing his thing. So we go to December 22nd. We go to Duxbury Beach to look for snowy owls. It's a beautiful day. And he remembers he was super cold. Like, it was a very cold day. And he remembers looking at his hands and they were ghost white. And he was like, that's very weird. Like,
Mhm.
that's. So we go get takeout food, and I step off of a curb and break my ankle. Yep. Yep.
Like the timing of that. My
Yep.
God, Megan, you poor thing.
So I walked around with it for 3 days. So the 22nd, so 2 days. And then
Okay.
finally I was like, I've got to go to urgent care. So I went to urgent care, had 3 chipped bones off of my ankle, and was put in a boot.
Oh my God.
So Christmas Eve, we had family over, etc. He was exhausted. And so we put the
Mm.
kids to bed, etc. He couldn't even help me set up, you know,
Because of,
for
okay. Because he was
because
so
he was just
tired.
so tired. So that came and went. Christmas, we did everything. He still just looked totally off to me. And so Christmas Day came. That night, I was looking at him. The kids were in bed, and our Christmas tree was on in the back. And I was just like, something's not right.
Mm.
So I worked the 24th, the 25th, the 26th. The 26th was a Sunday. So the chaos of the morning, like me getting everybody going, getting them their schedules, answering phones at my job, and then around like 10 a.m. I started Googling. And so I Googled the symptoms, fatigue and
Yeah.
headaches and lymph node and whatever, and it popped up leukemia or lymphoma. And I thought lymphoma. Um,
Okay.
so my friend Becky was working with me and helping me with triage, and she was like, "You're weird today. What's up?" And at this point, when I was looking at it, like, I just got this. I suffer from panic attacks and anxiety, and I just got this gut wrenching feeling that something
Mm.
was really wrong. And so that's when I was Googling and all of that. So she comes in and she's like, Meaghan, what's wrong? And I was like, I think Andrew has cancer. And she was like, no, like what? So I was telling her everything, and telling her the different symptoms and all of that. And I was like, I think he has leukemia or lymphoma. So then I called a friend who works at Dana-Farber, who was a former hospice nurse with me. And she was like, Meg, it's the day after Christmas. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm so sorry to bother you, Catherine, but like, tell me I'm wrong. And I went over everything with her, all the symptoms, all of that. And she was like, I don't think you're wrong. So I went home that night. I sent a message to our doctor on my chart, and I said, I think Andrew's really sick. I think he has cancer. Like, we need to get this evaluated. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know, but she had the flu, because she normally responds to me like right away.
Mm-hmm.
So I went home. The kids got put to bed again, and Andrew, was like, what's up with you? You're being weird. And I was like, I think you're really sick. And he was like, you don't think, what do you think it is? And I was like, I think you have leukemia or lymphoma. I think you have cancer. And he was like, you don't think it's mono? You don't think it's Lyme? And I was like, no, I think you're really sick. So
Wow.
by the time the doctor's office called him back on Monday the 27th, And he called them back. He was at work, he was grinding. He didn't call them until like 2 p.m. in the day. Well, they had already given away their urgent care visits. And so he said, well, I want my wife to come. So can I do it tomorrow, the 28th? So he wanted to work. And so, because, right, we're still in that fucked up work is first. And so he went to work, and at 3 p.m., because he had been seeing a chiropractor, at 3 p.m., he was going to the chiropractor, coming home for a 5 o'clock doctor's appointment. So I had texted my dad that morning, and I said, I need you to come and watch the kids so that I can go to a doctor's appointment. And he immediately called me because we shut down from COVID. We didn't let anyone in. So people were still not coming in. So he was like, what's going on? Why are you going to a doctor's appointment? And he was hounding me. And I was like, so I said the same thing. I said, I think Andrew's really sick. I think he has cancer. And once again, he was like, no. And then, I went over why and all of this. And he was like, oh shit, So he went to work. He had a meeting. A friend came in. He was falling asleep at the computer. And she was like, Andrew, you don't look good. Like, I think something's really wrong. And he was like, yeah, I don't feel good today. So he left, went to the chiropractor, and then came home. So we went to go get ready. My dad came, and, we just told the kids, like, hey, like, we're going to a doctor's appointment. So he didn't come out of our bedroom, and I didn't hear the shower turn on. So I was like, what the heck? So I go in, and he was like, you've got to look at this. So he had an abscess on his thigh that literally was not there. Like, so I got pus out of it, like whatever. And I marked it because clearly it was infected. And he hopped in the shower. I'm like, we've got to go. Once again, like, he normally takes a 5-minute shower, comes out like, and is done in 10 minutes being dressed, etc. So he didn't come out again. And I went into our bathroom, and he was crying, and I was like, what is wrong? And I sat on our bathtub, like, with him in front of me, and he was like, you've got to feel this. So in his right groin, he had a mass the size of like between a softball and a baseball, and he was like, this is cancer.
Oh my God.
So we went to the doctor, saw this family medicine doctor. I don't remember her name, but I remember what she looks like. And she literally, like, me saying everything and saying, we think he has cancer, I think he has leukemia, lymphoma. She starts bawling her fucking eyes out.
Wow.
And I'm like, she fixes boo-boos and gives lollipops, on a daily basis. She doesn't tell people they have cancer, like, she's just a family medicine doctor.
Right.
And
you guys are young. Right.
She's not our doctor. Yeah, he's 38 years old. So, I was like, okay, it walks like a duck. It talks like a duck. Like, we know it's a duck, but like what, And so she was like, we've got to get stat blood work. It's 5 p.m. I'm here till 9. Like, you're going to hear from me by the end of the night what to do. So she did his exam, felt swollen lymph nodes everywhere. And she left the room 4 times, like, to cry, gather herself, and to talk to a colleague. So we come home, my dad just leaves, and the doctor calls my cell. She asks us to go somewhere quiet, and she's like, look at like his labs. He has a quarter of his blood volume, and his platelets, which help you clot, are supposed to be above 150,000. His were at 16,000, making him like a super high risk to bleed. Wow. So I was like, okay, well, do we call an ambulance? Do we whatever? And she was like, no, get him to the local hospital ASAP. So I called my dad back. And when we came out of our bedroom, like looking like this, and I started to cry, Hunter, who is our oldest, who's 12 at the time, said, does dad have cancer? And I said, yep, but we don't know what kind. And he needs to go to the hospital, and he's not coming home for a very long time. So the 3 kids hugged him and said bye. And our kids, and he didn't just say that randomly, because we've got a lot of cancer in our family. So 2 years prior, Andrew's mom was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. We shaved our head in our home. Then literally a month-ish later, that was Thanksgiving. Okay. And so she told us at Thanksgiving that she had breast cancer. She started treatment. January 26th, his aunt passed away from metastatic melanoma. Literally December 22nd, we're bringing the kids to go see Santa, and our dog Lily is at the vet. She had been limping. And the vet called me and said, Lily has cancer, and so she's dying. And so the holidays are not a great time for us. So Lily then died February 7th. So this was all within like 2 months of one another, 2 years
Right.
prior.
Okay.
So the kids know cancer, and so I brought him to the local hospital. The nurse was an absolute twat and was like, why do you think he has cancer? And I was like, because I'm a nurse and he has all the symptoms and his lab work's atrocious. And there were 50 plus people in this waiting room. And I'm like, he has to go in right now, like right now. The doctor said not to have him wait. And she was like, this bitch nurse, she looked at me and she was like, you can't go in with him. It's COVID. It's our policy. And I was like, okay, fine. So I just sat there and stood right in front of her. There was a plexiglass thing. And she was like, are you going to stand there the whole time? I go, yep. And she goes, you're honestly going to stand here in front of me? And I go, yeah, until he goes behind those doors. And she goes, you are not going back with him. And I go, okay, fine. I will leave the second somebody walks him out back. So 2 minutes later, she picks up the phone and then he goes out back. So I leave because, my kids deserve a parent home, and
Yeah.
I leave.
Yeah.
And I get a call from the ER physician and she's like, where are you? And I'm like, I went home because your bitch charge nurse told me that I couldn't stay. And she's like, oh my God, this is extenuating circumstances. Like, your lives are never going to be the same, blah, blah, blah. So we needed immediately 3 units of blood.
Wow.
And she was
Wow.
like, it's looking like some sort of leukemia. He has to stay here for the night, but we need to transfer him to Boston. And so I was like, okay. Meanwhile, I don't think you knew this even. Somebody
Mm-mm.
who was in our high school class is a nurse in the emergency room, sees his name, totally goes against HIPAA, and goes in and pops in and sees him.
Oh, God.
Yep. Yep.
There's a lot of unprofessional things happening in this story.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah. So I called a friend who works at the local hospital. I'm like, look, at Andrew has cancer. I need you to get him a bed on the oncology floor, blah, blah, blah. So she works her magic. He gets up to the oncology floor that night. Then I call 2 other friends. I call my friend who works at Brigham, who's a palliative oncology nurse. And I was like, look, he's got leukemia. I need him to come to Brigham. He's coming to Brigham. I need you to get him a bed. And she literally next Wednesday morning was like, I took his name on the admission board and he's going to floor 7D and this is his room number. And then I called my friend Catherine, the one I called the day after Christmas, and I said, it's leukemia and we're headed to Boston. And I said, who do I want for his oncologist? And she told us. And so Wednesday I go into the hospital and I see him, and I called our sister-in-law on FaceTime and I'm wearing a mask and she's like, what is going on? So we told her and I said, look, he does not want his parents to know yet. This was on a Wednesday. And so this is the 29th of December. And I go, until we know a definitive diagnosis, he's not telling his parents. And, it was his wish. And so Wednesday, he calls me like around noon and he's like, I'm going to floor 7D, room 71 at Brigham. And I was like, I know. And he was like, how do you know? And I go, I already talked to my friend.
She's got connections.
Yep. And he went to Brigham and he was there for 41 days. And for the first, getting triple chemo, he lost 35 pounds. He lost his hair, horrific. And then, we knew by that weekend it was acute myeloid leukemia, but they have to wait for mutations in order to see what treatments are best. And the mutations of the DNA and the chromosomes and all of that tell like how serious, of a diagnosis it is. And
Mm.
so his mutations and all of that is very serious. And so the chance of recurrence is very high.
Mm.
Um, so he went in for 41 days. Meanwhile, he goes in on the 28th. The 30, I've got my broken foot.
Right.
I'm
And you have a broken foot.
working,
And you have a renovation happening
yep, yep, with 14 chickens,
with 3
um,
kids, 14
3 kids.
chickens.
Yep.
Holy moly. Holy moly, Megan.
December 30th, I packed up the kitchen and we didn't have access to a kitchen or a kitchen sink until May. So he was in the hospital. He came home. We had to go to a rental after 41 days. My husband, who has never had panic attacks or anything,
Mhm.
like, I literally could see him sensory overload, like just leaving the hospital. He was in a bubble. Like, only one person was allowed at a time. Only me
Mhm.
and 2 other people visited because he didn't want anyone, like he didn't want anyone. I immediately sent out um, emails and texts and saying, look at, like, he's sleeping 22 hours a day. Leave him the fuck alone. Like,
Mhm.
while he's
Mhm.
puking his brains out, he doesn't want to comfort you because you
Mhm.
feel like shit about his diagnosis.
Mhm.
So I immediately created a blog because I was bombarded by people. And I get that everybody loves us and everybody cares, but it was just, I needed to focus on him. I
Mhm.
only took New Year's weekend off. And everyone at work and my personal life and all of that was like, why are you working? Why are you? And I'm like, look, at when he comes home from this, that's when he's going to need me. And because he's not literally going to be able to shower it by himself. And he's literally not going to be able to, like, I just knew because I knew the history. And he he went in 81 days total. He was in and out. Um, had a bone marrow transplant of a 25-year-old. On the Monday, he had on a Thursday the bone marrow transplant. And on the Monday prior, I was literally in his room and he was sleeping. He was sleeping the majority of the time. I would get the kids on the bus. I would buzz into Boston. My mother-in-law would come, and I would sit with him. And then I would try to get home, leave around 3 to get home for our kids to have a parent to put them to bed. Um, and I got the flu. I started like profusely vomiting in his bathroom. And I was like, and the kids had already been sick that weekend. And I was like, shit. So I wasn't there when he had the bone marrow transplant, which is like your rebirth.
Right. Right. It's a big
So
deal.
my wonderful friend, who is amazing, went and signed his cells because 2 nurses have to sign. She Reiki'd them,
Oh, I
and
love this.
yep. And then she handed him her lucky dice. And so I have a
Oh.
picture. He opened up his hand and she was like, show me the dice. And one was a 4 and one was a 3. And she was like, Andrew, my favorite number's 7.
Oh.
It was just like, yep,
Oh.
yep. So he came home early because it's all like based on labs and based on, like how things look. And so he wasn't supposed to come home until May 20 something. So
Hmm.
I had already told work that I was going to take leave and take FMLA
Hmm.
and take care of him when he came home. And
Okay.
so um, I was still doing like the manager job. The person that they had hired, I was like, she's not going to work out. To which I was told that
Oh, fuck.
I was jealous of her position and that I really didn't want to give up my job. that's a whole other story. Um, and so he came home May 2nd and came home sick as shit on palliative care. Um, and yeah, um, that summer, like, as soon as he left and took leave, I took leave, like I lost it. And I knew that's when the anxiety would hit and, all of
Mhm.
that. And that was his diagnosis and
Wow.
beginning of the journey.
The beginning. Right. So now you're going on 3 years.
3 years. He's relapsed twice. So 10 months after his bone marrow transplant, he relapsed. His cancer came back. And he was put on a clinical trial. The clinical trial was super long clinical days. And I left my job. So when
Mm.
my medical leave was up in August, we both like then finally like in everything was put into perspective. Like work, who gives an F? You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm. Mhm.
and so I was on leave until mid August, and everybody from work, my nurses, the new manager, covering people for the manager, were contacting me like, this is awful, this is whatever. And I knew that I couldn't go back in the field at the same agency. Um,
Mhm.
and never not be manager to the nurses that I was, the manager to. I
Right.
couldn't be a nurse in the field with them. And I just needed to go make money, keep insurance for my husband to battle cancer and treatment and
Right.
be done at the end of my day. So my anxiety was insane. And so I went in and I gave my resignation and I stayed home another month. Um, and then I worked for another home care from September till December, which that agency was awful. And then my friend was like, hey, let's go do travel. And I've been doing travel nursing down in the Cape since. Um, so then that, you know, January, February, it was February, March, he relapsed again, went on the clinical trial. The goal was to get this oral chemo and get strong enough, put the leukemia levels at bay to get a donor lymphocyte infusion. It's called a DLI. So they go to the previous donor,
Mm.
they take his stem cells, and they give it to Andrew to fight, the leukemia again. But it can come with like a 40 to 60% chance of what's called graft versus host. So, graft is the cells that are given attack the host, the patient,
Mm.
okay, because your body's natural reaction is to. So, people can
Right.
get chronic diarrhea, like explosive,
Oh
that like
God.
medications don't help, sores on their skin, issues with voiding. It can attack the eyes. Like I've had patients that have open sores all over their skin. So we were like, we're not doing this. We're not doing the DLI right now. Like,
Yeah.
no. Like,
Yeah.
and we were waiting for a compassionate arm to extend it so that patients could stay on this clinical trial drug. And then he relapsed again. So that was in April. By October 18th of 2023, he went to his oncologist. I didn't go. He had been playing pickleball. We had decided that he's not going to go back to work,
Mhm.
because he'll always be palliative, which means that his leukemia will always be there, but
Mhm.
it's just, and he'll always need treatment, but it's just keeping it at bay forever, until each plan doesn't work and then they'll go to another plan.
Mhm.
So October 18th, he had mentioned to the nurse practitioner in September, he had numbness of his three fingers. And they were like, oh, it's a pinched nerve, it's pickleball, it's whatever. And then he went to his attending doctor on October 18th, and she was like, you have leukemia in your cerebral spinal fluid. You need a lumbar puncture, and we're going to do chemo in your spine. And my brother had been in the hospital, who I've now like
That's right.
kicked out of my
Mhm.
life. And I was showing my dad how to navigate the computer system and to like look at the notes at, Brigham and Women's. And I'm like, oh, look I'll pull up Andrew's note from today. And I pull it up and it mentions all of this: leukemia in his cerebral spinal fluid, all of this. I start bawling because he said chemo so many times, like the chemo brain and the chemo fog is so real. And so he didn't tell me any of this. And I fucking lost it. So his normal process was when he would go to these appointments and everything, he would FaceTime me. Well, he didn't. So like I didn't get to ask the questions. So I was like, the fuck you are gonna just get a lumbar puncture, a needle that's like this freaking long in your spine, and just put chemo in there, not knowing there's leukemic cells for sure. And I lost that battle. And so he did get it. And then by Thanksgiving last year, 2023, his count started to drop. And we were pushing quick for the DLI. And you can't get the donor lymphocyte infusion when you're actively relapsing. And so we just couldn't get it quick enough, and he relapsed. So we had to tell the kids the cancer was back. He started getting lumbar punctures twice a week. It was in his cerebral spinal fluid and it was in his bone marrow again. So he had to get chemo to his spine, and he had to get oral and IV chemo. And he went in Christmas Day last year. I had to bring him to the hospital. He was feeling sick all day, and he spiked a fever, and he went in with flu and rhinovirus. And then the kids got the flu. So we were supposed to go to Ohio. We couldn't. I had to cancel to go see family. And he's been on this regimen pretty much since, and he's doing okay. He has an IV, a PICC line in his arm. I change the dressings. I flush it. You saw it during the summer. And so this is the plan until it doesn't work. And then we go to plan B. And this is our reality. And so he's on an every 6-week regimen of 5 days in a row of IV chemo, Wednesday through Sunday usually. And then he starts an oral chemo at that same time for 10 days. And 17 to 21 days after, his counts drop significantly. So his blood levels, his white blood cells, which fights infection. And so he becomes what's called neutropenic, and he's super susceptible to infection then. And his immune system is worse than a newborn's. So we really have to like hunker down around that time. And he can tell, like he feels it. And that's our life right now.
Oh, Meaghan. Okay. I mean,
how was your day?
So, well, one thing I want to say is, a lot of people listening won't really necessarily know Andrew and who he is, but I feel like it's worth saying to help, paint this picture. Is Andrew is such a gentle soul. Like he is such a kind, gentle, loving, like, I mean, he's just a soft person. So it's really devastating that this has been in your life, in his life, in your family's life. I mean, it's heartbreaking, honestly, to watch. And how do you find strength? Like, how do you, as the mom, find strength? How does your family find strength to kind of keep pushing forward?
So, I mean, I will say, so like, yes, all those things. Like, I mean, you guys, like, as friends and like whatever, we've always hung out with people, and like nobody ever feels the third wheel, like we all like just hang out, and like we're not a touchy-feely couple. Like we're just, and a lot of people have told us like, we're the couple that everybody wants to be, and the family. He and I both had like very interesting childhoods, and so we both knew that like we wanted to do better for our kids. And I knew that I wanted to be there for my kids. So like since Hunter was born, my first, I was like, okay, I'm going to do Baylor, which is a weekend nurse. So I was going to be there Monday through Friday. And
Mm-hmm.
then luckily Andrew took off Saturdays, and Sundays he would work 2 to 10. So we would only have family watch our kids from 2 until I got home. So we were
Yeah.
very lucky that way.
Yeah.
Um, and he
And you guys
literally,
have,
yes, he was like,
you've always prioritized your family. Always.
oh yeah, yeah.
Always. Yeah.
And so, outsiders, and like I said, like I stopped talking to my brother, and like he's just a
Mm-hmm.
toxic person. And there's, it's been years coming, but like we honestly, like you and your husband Dan, and like you guys are more family to us than like some blood relatives, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um so we always like cancer's changed all of us, like all 5 of us, like the
Mm-hmm.
Meaghan, the Andrew, the Hunter, Jackson, Charlotte pre-cancer, they're gone, like they're still somewhat there, but like we're
Mm-hmm.
totally different people. But like when you come into our home and when you come into us, like we don't live cancer on a daily basis. Like we
That's
don't
true.
talk about it. Like
No,
we were
no.
wrapping a Christmas, you know what like
Mm-hmm.
it's there. Like they know that daddy has to go to chemo, that daddy, feels okay right now, but like in 6 days, he's not gonna, like they know that. And it's our reality, but like we don't drown in it, and you can't drown in it. And um, we're living,
Mm-hmm.
and our perspectives now are us, the kids and us and the dogs and the house, and work is down here. He's never going to go back to work again.
Mm-hmm.
We've lost friendships. We've lost, like we've made friendships, but like people don't know what to say. Like what are you to say to somebody who's going through this? There's not like really anything to say,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and that's okay, but like we're both, our BS levels are now like there's no patience anymore. And so if you don't give to us and feed our souls that and put an equal, like I don't give a fuck about you anymore,
Mm-hmm.
like I
Mm-hmm.
just don't. um
Yeah.
and not many people reach out from Whole Foods anymore. And it's sad and it sucks. And so much has been taken from him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's just kind of our reality. And so as far as like how do we get through it, there's no, you have to, and I've talked about in my blog, and last December, I started with depression for the first time ever in
Mm-hmm.
my, now we're 41 in my 40 years. And I'm on an antidepressant and my anxiety meds. I take 6 meds on a daily basis to keep me going. Hormone
Yeah.
replacement and something for sleep. But it keeps Meaghan. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yes. Yes. You got to take
It's
care of
okay.
yourself. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And so I mean, he does pickleball and he's a full-time dad, and like as a mom, and like what it takes to be a parent. And so, he mans our
Yeah.
massive house now, and dinner, and
And the
and
yard also, they have an insanely big, beautiful yard that Drew has always, both of you have
he
always
does
been working
he
hard
does
on.
he does some with the yard. He is limited now because of like the spores and stuff, like
Okay.
um that he can't do too much in the yard now, which is very frustrating for him. But yeah, like we've found our new norms. Work for me is like my outlet, and definitely like teaching, and it's my passion. And you know with palliative care and with patients, like I sometimes tell them Andrew's story and or parts of it, because one of his nurse practitioners said to me one day that she understood. And I was like, the fuck you do. And I
Mhm.
literally went off on her, to which they sicked a social worker on me and flagged me in the chart as batshit crazy. Whatever, fine.
This is the
But
patience
you don't
level
understand.
coming in and coming in.
The,
The BS
yeah, so
level.
I can
This is the
see
BS level.
I can say to my patients, like, I understand what you're going through, not as the patient, but as the caregiver, because I have literally showered my husband because he literally couldn't. As he was in the hospital, puking in the drain, crying as he's pulling his hair out in chunks. Like, that's our
Oh,
reality. Like, I don't include, stuff like that, but that's what our reality was. And so, like, where we are now, like sometimes it's minute by minute, sometimes it's hour by hour, and sometimes like it gets week by week. We're focusing on quality of life, and everybody should. Forever Andrew was like retirement, retirement, retirement. Fuck retirement. Like everybody that I've known that like waits till retirement dies or, etc. And
yeah,
so we're not. We went to the vineyard this summer. We went to Alaska. Like, we're living.
yeah. So what do you wish then, what do you wish that people knew? Like if someone has someone in this scenario in their life, like what do you wish people knew about people in your situation with someone suffering from leukemia, lymphoma, cancer? What do you wish people knew about that, or how can
Like,
they
we
be
still
there
want
for
to.
you? Or like,
So
how can they
in
maintain that relationship with you?
so in the beginning, like a lot of people wanted to make food. I didn't have a kitchen, so I literally had to go outside of my house, go into the garage to our fridge. Like that meant going outside in the fucking winter. And so I don't have an oven. I don't have a. So you're making me like eons and eons of food that my little fucking fuckers of children don't eat. um, and it would stress me out because I'd be like, oh my God, I'm going to throw away this tray of food. So literally, like a couple of friends, would be like, hey, I'm at the store. Do you need toilet paper? Yeah, I do. Who doesn't need toilet paper? I have an ass to wipe. You have an ass to wipe. Like, yep. Um, and then like now that we're like sort of, so we did an Amazon wish list, a couple, and I would literally come home to packages upon packages. But it took that burden off of me of like, oh my God, I have to go get laundry detergent. Oh my God, I have to go get paper towels. Like, oh my God, I have to.
Right.
And now that like we don't need those things and like etc. People alienate us, and so they alienate in the way that I'll have friends all the time like, oh, I don't want to tell you this because like it's nothing compared. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like, I'm a human. I want to hear that you got a flat tire. I want to
Mm-hmm.
hear that you got whatever, and I wrote in the little synopsis to you, like, everybody is shit. It's, some people have most shit. Some people have most size diarrhea. Some people have, you know, monkey, like whatever the animal. We have elephant sized, whale sized diarrhea, and that's like my life. And sometimes we might get a little constipated and whatever, but like I want to know your shitty day, like I want to know what's going on with you, and don't alienate us because then you just don't talk to us.
Right.
And that's not what we want. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
want, and I don't want people to ever understand what we've gone through and the crap we've gone through. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't wish this on anyone,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that is really helpful because it's true. A lot of people are just like, I don't know. And so then they,
yeah,
don't do anything or don't do,
right.
like, yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
What are, okay, so through all of this, what are some of the blessings, if any, that have come from this situation?
I mean, I hate the question, like, would you change anything? Like, we don't have any like control over the past, like, and
Yeah.
so it's what you take from it and everything. And so it has made us so strong, and it has just made us reprioritize. And so now we prioritize the things that matter, and the travel, and what we want to do and everything like that. And so we're going to continue that, and we're going to continue um, focusing on the stuff that matters. And like we've gotten to go to the vineyard, we've gotten to go to Alaska, and we're going to continue to travel. Like coming up, like my goal is to go to Hawaii.
Yep.
Um, so we're just focusing on the special moments, and
Yeah.
it's really what people really need to focus on. And so
Hmm.
it's really just putting that into perspective.
You're creating lifelong memories.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
what you're doing right now is you're creating like a lot of great memories with your family, like and for your kids.
Yep.
You guys are a really close family. Well, how have you guys stayed so close through all this?
I mean, it's been hard. Our marriage is definitely like there's been divorce mentioned, like literally. He is hardened and I'm hardened, and he's definitely his patience and his BS level is definitely he is like his wick, on a candle is low. And so he's he's been through the ringer, and it's hard sometimes, and he's kind of become a different person, and it's been hard to navigate. And we've been to couples counseling, we're in therapy separately, like Jackson and Charlotte have been in therapy. Hunter refuses to do therapy, but he does the gym, like it's all this different stuff. And
Mhm.
um I'm just trying not to let it like overtake us. And because when that happens, like then you're gone. And I've had other friends that have gone through cancer and stuff like that, and they just harp on the negative, and that
Mhm.
just feeds the cancer. It's letting the cancer win, and
Mhm.
it's already taken so much. And so I'm not going to let it take my kids and my family and these special moments, and I'm not going to let it happen
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like,
with the
okay.
coulda, woulda, shouldas and the stuff that you can't control. Like, me, I'm a type A, like
Mhm.
I need to fucking know
Mhm.
everything about everything about everything. And
Yep.
you have no control, so
Yeah.
just,
How has it changed how you parent?
um, it's been hard. They've seen me. When I get stressed or whatever, I cry. When I get angry, I cry. I'm a crier. I'm a
Mhm.
very incredibly strong person and strong-willed, but I am a crier.
Mhm.
So that's my release. I hate yoga.
Yeah.
Hate it. Like it makes me so anxious. Like I'm gonna do a downward dog and fart, and I'm just all set. Like I'm all set. Classical music, like I just no, no.
Yeah.
So
It's not the outlet for you. It's not the outlet for you. No.
no, it's not. I garden, that's my outlet. Like I go to
Right.
work, that's my outlet. Like I don't
Right.
need many things, and people are like, you have to do this. Like I've got so much shit to do. Like I,
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good. And when
Yeah.
I am having my mental breakdowns, like you'll know it.
Yeah. It's true. She's not like quiet. She's not quiet necessarily.
Mm-mm.
No, no. Okay, so where are you guys at today? How are you feeling about the future?
I don't focus on the future. You know what I mean? Like we have to be in today. Like my biggest piece of advice, and we should definitely do a another podcast if you'd be interested in it, like about the
Yeah.
advice I've given you and stuff. But
Yeah.
um, I don't like. I don't tell my kids we're going to do anything until we're in the car. And that's definitely like gotten more. Like I don't tell them a friend is coming for a play date until the friend's about to be here in 10 minutes, because I refuse to let cancer disappoint. Like we were going to go to Ohio last Christmas. We were leaving on the 27th and coming back on the 2nd.
Mhm.
And we literally got the okay the Friday before from his team. His liver started acting a fool. And by Saturday, I literally booked the non refundable tickets. And 24 hours later, they said he can't go. And then
Mm.
he wound up in the hospital with the flu. And I was going to still bring the kids. So I just, we don't plan. Like, I don't, my future is like I hopefully wake up tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. No, I think
yeah,
that's great. Yeah. You're fully living in the present, which
yeah,
really more people should be doing anyways, right? You're fully living
right.
in the present. Yeah.
Like with this, it's not a matter of if his leukemia comes back and relapses, it's when. And
Hmm.
so that's our reality. And so that could be a month from now, heaven forbid. It could be 2 years from now. It could be 5 years from now. We don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't harp on
Hmm.
future.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's interesting. I'm like, it's some powerful shit, really.
Yeah.
Um, okay, Megan. Well, this has been, I mean, it's an emotional conversation. It's heartfelt. It's funny. So we're doing our final 10 here with Megan. What is one holiday tradition with your family that you look forward to?
So I put like a couple here, but like we usually go and cut down a Christmas tree, and we didn't this year, the day after Thanksgiving, because last year somebody stepped in poo, dog poop, not human poop. And our oldest wound up in the car pissed off. It turned into this, I want this tree, and screaming and crying and whatever. We took a picture in front of said tree, only to realize now, looking at the picture, the man cutting the tree cut the wrong fucking tree. And when we got it home, we were like, this is not the tree. So then, to compound that, it's supposed to be quick questions, but me and the kids were highly allergic to it. And so for over a month, absolutely dying in the house, like boogery. Yeah. So we didn't do that this year. So the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we have my dad and my nephew over, and we cook like crazy. And it's awesome.
Yeah, that's one you look forward to.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about the allergies. That's so
Oh my
awful.
God. It was
Oh my God.
awful last year.
Oh my
Literally.
God. Okay, what piece of clothing are you wearing every day this winter?
Leggings,
Yeah, leggings. Leggings are great.
scrubs.
Yeah, something
That's my life.
comfortable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Your favorite dish to cook?
We don't, I don't love cooking as much as like I used to. It takes like so much brain power, like
Yeah.
literally every day. We have fridges and whatever. So, yeah, I don't love cooking or baking right now. I just don't.
Yeah, that's fair
Um,
enough. It's a lot of, yeah, too much.
yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yep.
Okay. Not NA, not available. Not doing it right now. Um, Favorite part of the holidays?
The holidays are hard. And so there's been a lot of PTSD for me. And so we're just trying to make it magical. Like we
Mm-hmm.
do traditions now that like the kids we make go out and buy Christmas presents for us and the siblings. And so like we'll go to Target, they'll pick stuff out, and it's very cute, like watching them like, do you think Charlotte would like this? Do you think Dad would like this? And so that but the holidays are hard, and the kids know it too, because we're all just waiting for the ball to drop kind of thing.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
because I mean, with his mom and the
Yeah.
aunt and our dog,
Yeah. The
during this.
dog. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I
So
understand. That's of course you guys have PTSD from that.
yeah,
That's a lot. Okay. Your go-to coffee order?
I'm a Starbucks girl.
Mhm.
I run on jet fuel, so it's a flat white with oat milk with 4 shots of espresso and 3 pumps of brown sugar.
I mean, damn. It does sound good though. It does.
Okay, but I only drink that all day, like all day.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
Like it literally, like I come home and I'm still like got a few sips left. So
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good. That's not bad. That's not bad.
no,
She stretches it out.
yep.
Um, we talked about your go-to motherhood hack, but do you have any other motherhood hacks?
I mean, now that they're like older-ish and whatever, is chores. Like they've got to help out. Like these mofos that we're raising, like they've got to pay their sentence because like I'm also in this jail with them of motherhood. So I don't make them do toilets, but like Hunter, now our oldest, mows the lawn on the mower. He uses the leaf blower. Jackson, our 11-year-old, string trims. Like, yeah, Charlotte is the baby, and like truly, and Andrew has a really hard time saying like she needs to do more, but I'm kind of on it, and I'm like, okay, it's time for you to empty the trash.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so and bring stuff. Yeah, they just have to help because this shit's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is. Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. It's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. There'll be better people for it. There'll be better
Well, I
people
mean,
for it.
like
Yeah.
they're paying off, like, and we always say, I'm like, you're paying off your like basketball uniform. You're paying off your,
Right.
yeah,
That's right. That's right.
yeah.
Okay. Your favorite place you visited, and then the next place on your bucket list, which I think you mentioned, but mention one more time.
So this is in no particular order. There's just where we've been. So Hawaii, we went for our honeymoon. It was amazing. We went to the big island in Maui. We're definitely want to go back. So that's our next planned vacation. Iceland, we went to for our 10-year anniversary, and Alaska, we just went to. And Alaska was
Amazing.
freaking amazing. We went for 12 days. It was magical. So we want the kids to see Aurora Borealis, and Iceland is absolutely stunning. So
Okay, so you're going to take the kids to Hawaii and to
we're
Iceland.
gonna take,
Yeah,
yep,
cool.
yep, is our
That'll be
next
fun.
like big plan. Yep.
Love. Your favorite song on the radio right now?
I wrote, and there's also like another song I just found. It's called "The Let Go" by Ellie King, which is really good. I don't know if
Mm.
you've heard it, but I need to send it to you.
Yeah, send it.
Um, and then Jelly Rolls, I Am Not Okay. Like those lyrics really resonate with me, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, I
Um,
bet. Like,
so
oh
I would
god.
say those two.
And last but not least, but my favorite question: the best piece of advice you've received.
Um, like I just said, some days it's 1 minute at a time. Some days, it's hour by hour. And so just kind of recognize that with us. But if it doesn't feed your soul, don't do it. If it's not filling up your tank, if it's not whatever, then don't do it. Toxic people, etc. Like they don't fucking matter. Like even if they're blood related, even like so do what makes you happy, and you can't focus on the bad because it'll eat you alive. So it's not really advice I've received. It's advice,
No, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great advice. Megan, you've always been good at giving advice, though, like as your friend, too. Megan, she's great because she'll always tell you like it is, but in the best, most loving way. Her heart is so big. So if you want the real deal, if you want some real ass advice, you
There's
ask
no
Megan.
filter.
Yeah, there's no filter, but in the
No.
best way. Okay, my love. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
You're
Super
welcome.
excited to promote this, to put it together. I wish I could give you a hug right now.
I love you.
I love you too. Thank you so much for listening to the most recent episode from the Wonder Mother podcast. We just heard from Meaghan Weymouth. She is fighting a long battle with her husband, fighting leukemia. Her story of strength and resilience and some humor was very inspiring. If you want to help families like Megan's who are living with cancer, I'm going to leave some foundations in the description box below. You can click those links and donate money or learn more about places that fight for that cause. And Megan and I are already talking about coming back for a more fun, loving episode where we talk more about motherhood more specifically. pregnancy and postpartum and all the things about raising kids. So we look forward to having Meaghan back on the show, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.